This is the Enjoyer Podcast. I'm your host, James Dixon. I've never met Carlos Franklin, but I'm inspired by him. A few episodes ago, I spoke with Rick Convertino. Rick is a former federal prosecutor in Detroit. After prosecuting a post-9/11 terror case using RICO statutes rather than the brand new Patriot Act, Rick found himself in the bad graces of his bosses. Then he found himself in legal trouble that threatened his livelihood, his law license, even his freedom. Rick Convertino was one of the early victims of lawfare, 20 years before it happened to President Trump. Since that time, Convertino left the Department of Justice and entered private practice and tries to defend people like himself against the kind of things he faced. When he entered private practice, he soon heard from a man he knew as a prosecutor, a man named Carlos Franklin. Convertino had prosecuted Franklin, and Franklin had done his time. Not only had he served his debt to society, but Convertino was impressed because Franklin didn't try to lessen his burden by telling on other people. He admitted to what he did, he spoke for himself, and he did his time. Franklin's conduct was so honorable that the prosecutor told him, hey, when this is all over, you want to get your life together someday, you want to change someday, get in touch with me. Franklin did do that. Next thing you know, he was tagging along as Convertino spoke to youth groups. And next thing you knew, the youth were gravitating to Franklin and his testimony. So in Convertino, they had a man who was willing to help. In Franklin, they had proof that people like them could be helped, that there was a different path, that you could walk different forks in the road and get to a better place in life. That tomorrow doesn't have to look like today if you make the most of today. Franklin is a family man and a business owner. Since 2013, he's owned a Main Street business in Ypsilanti called Blackstone Bookstore and Cultural Center. And today he's our guest on the Michigan Enjoyer Podcast. Carlos, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Carlos, we'll start you here. What do you enjoy about Michigan?
Oh, what I enjoy most about it is you get all types of weather. You get the summer, the spring, fall. They got you got Ohio on one side, Chicago on the other side. So, you can visit and, not be too far away from things. And it's just a good place. I have lived in other places, not for a long time, little spurts here and spurts there, but just places that I call home. So that's what I enjoy most about it.
Absolutely. One of the things I like about it is that, unlike in Ohio, unlike in Indiana, you don't drive through Michigan to get somewhere else.
That's
You don't drive
right.
through Michigan. You drive to Michigan. Michigan's a
That's
final
right.
destination,
Yeah.
not a pass through. You have to choose it. And then the roads, the second you get here, are like a little form of hazing. Like, you sure you want to do this Michigan thing? We're going to make the road bumpy for you. No one's making it easy for you. You have to actively choose Michigan. Carlos, we heard a few episodes ago from Rick Convertino about how you two met. We heard that from one perspective. What do you remember about meeting him, and what did you see in him, in this prosecutor, that made you say, I could have a relationship with that kind of guy someday?
They always say in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. So he did convict me. So no, but seriously, I always felt I follow him, like I said, being a bookstore owner, I always consider myself a mental person. So everything with me, I always approach it on a mental level. I'm and so I always follow his career, and, anybody that has an effect, anybody that entwined with my life, you want to know more about, you want to
Right.
study them. You want to, see why did y'all paths cross, and, what is the purpose of it? Because there's always a greater purpose. And so I had seen he got into some trouble, as you mentioned, as far as his own people was attacking him, and
Yeah.
which is bad. But sometimes it, it it happens like that, and so people can understand, like your plot, and that's how I say of myself, like
Mhm.
my plot, like, if your own people attack you and look at the things that you done for them. So, is everything they said about me true? And
Mm.
so when he got into some trouble, I seen he started his own practice. And once again, like I said, he brought me down. So I said, I had some friends coming from the street background. You just don't throw your friends away. So I had some friends that was still getting in trouble, and so I said, well, man, what better lawyer to have than someone that's been on that side of it, and actually, truth of the matter, probably have a gripe against them, for them
Mhm.
trying to take him down. So I tell you, he just started his private practice. He's going to be hungry. He's going to fight for you. So I introduced some of my friends to him, and in doing so, me and him became close. I call him a brother. He called me a brother. Some of my friends kind of looked down on me. Some of his friends kind of looked down on him, and
Yeah.
but I stand on my own. So I don't need nobody's approval for anything. But it is kind of hard when you from the streets and you in bed with the prosecutor, and some people think, well, man, have you was you stage witness and nothing, but see,
Oof.
all my paperwork
Right.
is public. So I never turned state evidence. I never testified on anybody. And a lot of people don't even understand when you turn state's evidence or whatnot. Even the people you telling, they don't like you. They feel, I can't trust it. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
maybe that helped as well, because I had 21 co-defendants. I would say about uh, 17 of them, turned state's evidence. So that, when you on the other side of it, how I would look at it is like, this guy stood solid, so he's someone I could trust, and so that's how I would look at it. And then on my side, the guy was just doing his job. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna get mad at a person just doing their job, um, and and he did it well. And so I can't get mad at that. And actually the things that we was doing and accused of doing and proved to have done in the court of law, it was good that we did come off the streets. We wasn't good for ourselves, and we wasn't good for our community. So I can't get mad at that. And like I said, I've been to his home. I met his wife. I met his kids. I been to graduation parties and things of that nature. He's visit me, and I've called him plenty times and just get some point of views. When you calling people from the street, is they words a little different, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then when you call it someone that has a successful life, had things to lose and things to stand for. So you get their advice, and a lot of it makes sense because you're trying to get to where they are. Um, where the people in the streets trying to keep you where they're at. And so I
Mm.
got a lot of good advice from them. And so no, that's a brother. I tell some of my well, I tell all my friends, anybody asks it, but like my co-defendants, anybody, they know how I stand. And I don't bow down. So it is what it is, and if he's around me, you don't want to be around, and you go somewhere else. And then you got to understand as well, too. Like I said, out of 21, about 17, 18 of them turned state's evidence. So he was more loyal than they was. So, so,
Man.
so, so you can't speak about him and his loyalty, without checking your own. So, so that was one of the things. He was doing some school stuff. He asked me, would I, visit some of the schools with him, and I said yeah, and we had a good relationship. And to this time, like I said, I got indicted. I want to say about 98 or something like that. Here we are in 2024. I mean, I call him, he answers. He calls me, I answer. It's been strong. We've been having stronger bonds than people that call my mother mother, or I call their mother mother. So it is what it is, and that's what I stand on.
Absolutely. Do you think that relationship, I mean, it sounds like, at the time you respected, maybe he's straight up. He's good at his job, he played his part. But it sounds like there was another level that came when he got in trouble himself. Do you think you make that call if you don't find that he had gotten in trouble himself? Because he'd probably still be at the Department of Justice, but for the lawfare.
And the question would and maybe we have to do you interview him, now you interviewing me, and maybe you have to do a third interview. The question would he have answered that call? So
Right.
yeah, right. So things so I keep it real, but so things fall into place. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have, because you got to keep in mind we built a bond. We didn't have a bond. We didn't have a bond even when I was fighting my case. Like I said, I wasn't helping the prosecution. And in fact,
Right.
I was one of their knuckleheads. They couldn't take pictures of me without me doing crazy stuff that I didn't want to act
Oh,
right.
you
I
were
didn't.
that guy.
Yeah, I didn't want to cooperate. I didn't want to do. So I was a hothead. I was still young, and so I was a hothead. So, um, if I probably wouldn't have, because I would have felt, um, what would be I wasn't even, like, honestly speaking, I wasn't even, when I first came home, I wasn't even trying to change my life. When you
Right.
first come home, you do what you know, or you hang around the people, that you knew, or things of that nature. And even if you did want to change, it's kind of like you got to walk that fence for a minute till you really decide what you want to do, or till you, excuse me, make some mistakes and say, "Oh, I'm headed back in the same direction."
And had he not been a defense attorney, he wouldn't have. Right. Like, if your friend hadn't needed a defense attorney, or Rick hadn't been a defense attorney, there wouldn't have been that call to jump off that relationship.
Right. And so, and one of the friends he helped, he's still getting in trouble. He's still in and out, and things of that nature. So some people just don't change. And I always notice in the streets, some of the worst people, or the hardened people, man, they soften inside. They don't the life they live
Yeah.
is not the life that they want. They always,
Right.
and it could be the opposite. Even on the other side, they might want to live the life we live, but it's always, you try to find ways of getting out. I don't care who you talk to, who it is, man. Don't nobody want to be looking over their shoulders and carrying pistols, and all that. You're always trying to find a way of getting out. And I know, like, even what Rick used to tell me, he said, man, you just always needed the opportunity, you know. And sometimes that's all we need, just opportunity to apply the things that we know in another arena, So we only play the arena that's given to us.
Absolutely. I think about that Roots line. A lot of dudes go to prison. How many come out Malcolm X?
Mm.
And I think about you. I mean, you liked to read as a kid. Usually,
Mhm.
you think of these as, like, I covered crime for a while in Detroit, and you'd have these crazy stories where somebody would rob someone at a bus stop, or they would hold up a dollar store
Mhm.
at gunpoint. And so, just from the risk reward factor, my only theory is that people are robbing the dollar store because they can't read the sign that says dollar store only keeps $30 in it at night. So you did not have a literacy struggle as a young man. What was that fork in the road that led you down the path of trouble?
Okay, well, I'm gonna jump around a little bit according to how you asked the question, because literacy is the key. That's one of the things that stopped me from going back to prison.
Mm,
It was people that in there. It was people in there that didn't even know how to spell their own name. It was people that was in there that was actually convicted for crimes that they literally didn't do. They might have did a crime, but they didn't do that crime. And so you have people that might have got uh, um, caught with one crack rock. It was a lot of that going on, and but they plead guilty to a kilo, and and they don't see that in the paper, and so it's like they ask for help, and you say, well, let me see what you got. And it's like, man, you just played good to a kilo, you know what I'm saying? Or they don't know how to
Railroad.
spell their name, and excuse me.
They're getting railroaded.
Yeah, they're getting railroaded. It had people was in there that didn't have support from their family. It was a lot of people used to come to me and say, you don't belong here. I help people with they get letters, man. Can you read this for me? You know what I'm saying? So literacy is a big problem. But people just robbing dollar stores and stuff. It's just where you at. Like some people say, well, why you don't go out to the white neighborhood or the rich neighborhood? Well, how they gonna get out there? So it's not even,
Right.
it's not even that they doing it just because it's black on black crime or something. It's like, man, I'm going to what's close to me. And if they got $5 and I got no dollar, then $5 is better than no dollar. So it's not even, I don't even think that as an ignorant thing. I just think it's just doing it to the people that's around you.
Yeah.
Now,
Proximity.
yeah, the price them. So the educational thing and all that was correct on why I didn't go back, because I just knew that wasn't for me. I just felt wasted. You sitting on the shelf, it's like literally people that I got my college degree in prison, so it's just little
Right.
people in there, they playing basketball and working out and stuff like that, but that wasn't for me. Now, reading came to me early on. I always loved to read. I had a third grade teacher. I mention her all the time. White woman, and she fed me books. And she fed me stuff from Malcolm X to Judy Blume, How to Eat Fried Worms, um, roots. She wasn't just trying to give me anything that supported me. She wasn't trying to give me
Right.
anything that supported her. I see a lot of people do that in both communities. In black communities, you want to give them all black books and
Mhm.
power to the people, and you know what I'm saying. Especially in our community, but she didn't. She just gave me whatever. If I
Just
wanted to
book.
read it, she let me read it. Yeah,
Yeah.
just book. I read Donald Goins. I just read it all, and so to me, that was just a way of escape, So it wasn't even about education. It wasn't about knowledge. It wasn't about reading. It was just a place for me to escape. To bag it up, uh, my great grandmother, my grandmother's mother, raised me and my siblings. My mother had 5 kids, 1 boy and 4 girls. I was the oldest.
Mm.
My great grandmother, born in 1912, raised me and my siblings. My mother was mentally ill. She's still alive, and she's still mentally ill. And when I say that, I'm not saying like she's at a home and you say, oh, yeah, there's my mother over there. She's mentally ill. No, my mother lives in an institution. My sister picks her up on weekends and holidays. And so my mother is mentally ill for real, and she couldn't raise none of her children. And my great grandmother raised us. I say this and I say it with love. A woman born in 1912, raising, and was the oldest. I was born in 1972. The only thing she really can give you is a roof over your head, love, and some food. So
Right.
far as and she was raised by her grandmother, and she's from Mississippi, Greenville, Mississippi.
Mm.
So, she, it wasn't really nothing she can, like, far as teaching the world of the North. Like,
Right.
I everybody older than me was born from the South. Me and everybody younger than me and my family is born up here, the ones that came up. So all the people that taught me is Southern people. Even when I go visit Mississippi, I said, man, you sound more country than me. I said, because the people that taught me was country people. And
Mhm.
so, and I had all sisters, and and it was me. And I just was uncontrollable. The streets was my mother and my father. How people say the streets were my father, or the streets were my mother. The streets was what I had. There
Mm.
was no people. Like I said, keep in mind, everybody older than me is from Mississippi. They was sharecropping. They was 2 steps out of slavery and all that.
Right.
So I never had nobody that went to school or was, had successful marriage. And they they may have. I'm not remembering, so I
Or
might
for
get in
lack of a
trouble.
better word, a free mindset.
Yeah. So I just did what the streets was doing. But in my life, I always wanted to do better. I tried to be a Marine. I already had a felony. It was like, well, they wasn't gonna touch me. You know what I'm saying? I always wanted to go to school. I had another teacher, um, uh, Miss Hampton. She was was born in Ann Arbor and moved from Ann Arbor when I was 11 to Willow Run, and I had a teacher that took interest. She's like, any school you want to go to, I vouch for you. I do this because I always was a good student. Um, uh, not an everyday student. You give me a test, I'm a pass it. But
Right.
my day to day, and so I always wanted to go. Alabama A&M was one of the schools I wanted to do the whole thing and all that stuff. And so I always wanted to do right. I just didn't have the opportunities in front of me to do right. I didn't have the examples in front of me to want to do the right. I didn't have the opportunities in front of me to want to do right. When I was when I was 11 years old, the reason I left my great grandmother because I got caught with a sawed-off shotgun at 11 years old, and so my grandmother stepped in. My mother's mother stepped in and said, "Well, he's just getting too out of hand." So then I end up moving with her, and then she took over the latter half of my life.
Mm.
And one thing about her, now she was stable. She was married at the time. She worked. Um, she was a radiologist at U of M. And she worked hard. I see times she come from Ann Arbor all the way to Ypsi, and as soon as she get home, they beep her and she got to go back. So and she taught me how to do checkbooks and bank accounts, and so she taught me a lot. And my grandmother just was, my mother 15 years older than me, and my grandmother 15 years older than her.
Mm.
So she taught me a lot as far as just the stability um, of having a home. I didn't have to share no rooms because it was just her and her husband. I had my own room, and like I said, she worked. She, showed me about bills and things of that nature. And when I went to prison, and everybody say I always was talented with just knowledge stuff. So that was never a problem with me. So when I went to prison, I wanted to be, I did read Malcolm X, and he said he read all the books in the library, prison
Mhm.
library. So that's what I did. I was already a reader going in there. So I said, I want to try that. I read the Bible 10 times. And
Mm.
when I pick up a book, I literally grabbed the first book that was on the shelf. I didn't care what it was. I just grabbed that book and I read it. It could have been a boring book. It could have been
Right.
exciting. I just grabbed the first one, put it back. And I was doing that so much, like they even fired me from the prison library. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I kind of, and there's some other stories, but I'll let you ask the question because I don't want to get ahead of myself. But those was the thing that kind of motivated me to read. And see, prison didn't, I people say prison didn't make me a man.
Hmm.
I became a man while in prison.
Right.
I would have became a man regardless. I'm a boy. I'm gonna become a man regardless. What
Hmm.
type of man that be is, that's the question. So no, prison didn't make me a man. I didn't go to prison and, oh, it's time to be a man. No, I would have eventually, if I was still living, I would eventually grew up and became a man. Um, but it gave me a time to learn myself. It gave me a time to look within, and and so when people say, "Well, I'm glad I had that experience," no, I mean, I'm not glad I did or did because I'm going to be who I'm going to be regardless. My auntie, she's deceased right now, and she said when you was a little kid, they asked all the people what they want to be when they want to grow up. And she said, I wanted to be a gangster.
Mm.
And but I learned something different than what somebody else might have learned from that. What I learned is that we tell kids they could be anything that they want to be, which is true, but we leave it open. We say that because in our mind, we thinking the kid want to be something positive. So we say,
Right.
yeah, you could be anything that you want to be. And a kid, if they got a good mind, they might say, oh, yeah, I want to be a doctor. Well, what about the kid that say I want to be a gangster, a stripper, or this and that? So you have to finish that sentence. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying? So in a sense, I became what I wanted to be. You
man.
know what I'm saying? So
And did anyone
and
ever grab you or pull you aside and just shake you and say, I get that you're young, but no, even as a joke, you can't talk like that because that's what you're aspiring to. And where you look is where you go. Did anyone ever say that?
well, I can't speak for them, but as an adult now, looking back, what I would be thinking, first of all, do you think a kid really want to be that? So you kind of mock it as when people say, oh, I'm gonna kill myself. Oh, boy, go sit down somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
would a person even take it as truth? Because, you just talking. Or do you even know what a gangster is? So sometimes
Right.
you know, you just take it down. And then by the time even if you look at the movies, by the time you start stepping into that, most of the people that you're supposed to respect and look up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're making movement that they never made. You know what I'm saying? And so you become their hero. It's like even now, you got uh 50, 60-year-old guys talking about young thug and all that stuff. You're supposed to be motivate them. You like that.
Right.
Now don't get me wrong, like age doesn't dictate wisdom. Age doesn't dictate knowledge. And I get that, but at the same time, I'm not gonna look up to a
No.
younger person in that sense, because I want to be the beacon that they can look to. So no, you got grown
Yes,
people
that's
with
the
childish
natural
mind.
order.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here
So
gray bearded. The family kids call me Santa and
right.
it would be
So you
crazy.
got a family.
Though.
Yeah. So you have a family that, you're the star or your name is ringing in the street. Like that's honor. So, and don't get me wrong. That's not like they're going, oh, go be a gangster, go be this, this, and this. But in a sense, that's success. That's all they probably would ever have got. When you don't have, I'm not a football player, I'm not a basketball player. I'm not, and and a lot of times, even in these small communities, you nothing compared to the scheme of things, but you're good for that on that block or in that neighborhood.
Yeah. You know, I think your bookstore is so fascinating because even some places you think would have them don't necessarily have them. Like my girlfriend, her family from Lenawee County, Adrian area. They got Adrian College out there even. And I remember asking about a decade ago, like, what's like the big bookstore out here? Asked the whole. It's a big family,
Uh-huh.
and never did one name emerge. Maybe a thrift store that had some books, but there wasn't like a bookstore. And I believe one came in the county recently, and that was a big deal. So same deal, Ypsilanti. Tell me about Blackstone Bookstore, Cultural Center, and I saw a video where you're talking about how you literally built your collection from the first book and flipped
Yeah,
one into two and two into four and four into more.
yeah,
People
yeah.
watching this who'd love to do something like you're doing, how do they do it? How did you do it?
Well, I always, even in my life or street life or whatever, I don't even say past because it's all who you are.
Right.
The key is to do what you love. My thing was like with books. If I never sold a book or the bookstore don't work out, then I got plenty to read, and I'm sure in one of those books is gonna show me what my next assignment is. You know what I'm saying? So it's a win-win situation. But excuse me, but win-win situation for me. So that's the key. Do what you love. Don't listen. And I don't. I know. Like I said, I always consider myself a thinker. And people even get mad when you tell them that. Now if I was a basketball player, I could slam dunk. Oh, that's cool. If I could sing, oh, that's cool. If
Right.
I could dance, that's cool. But if I say I'm a thinker, then there's something wrong with that. Like, what do you mean? What
Mm,
that's my talent.
right.
Other people got other talents. So I always say, do something that you love, and that I hate to sound cliche, but you do something you love, you never have to work again, however that goes. So
Oh
do something that you love. And books was what I love. Is for $15 you can go around the world. Um,
yeah. Mm.
so do something that you love, and books is what I love. And I used to, like you said, I used to get books, share them with people. And I told myself, I said, man, I read a book, I'm buying a book, and I share it with somebody, and they don't bring it back. I got to find another way of getting these books to people,
Gotta
without
start
it
charging.
costing me. Yeah, so I'm starting charging, and so that's what I did. And my wife now, I happen to have this book just sitting on the table because I had it. It was this book right here called Black.
Mm.
This book, and it was a good book. She liked it. I gave it to her while we was dating, and so I'm opening me up a bookstore. I didn't even have only books I had was my personal books,
Mm.
and I took her book and sold it because it was a good book. See, I liked it. I gave it to her. She liked it, so I'm sure the third person would like it. And she mad at me to this day. And
Carlos,
as you see,
who sells their wife's book, Carlos? Who does
I'm a
that?
hustler. See, lucky we had money. We went in hard times. Some other stuff probably got sold, So
Yeah.
nah, so lucky I sold the book. And I actually had a chance to meet the author. I did uh well, during COVID, we did a online book discussion. So that was real cool. I told her I was gonna get her a signed copy because I met the author.
Mm.
The author ended up passing
Oh,
during COVID. So rest in peace. And that's a whole other story how I found that out. But she was a good person, good from what I did with her. But yeah, so I sold her that book, took the money, and bought 2 books. Took that book money, bought 4 books, and took that, bought more books. And it's just the same. And I hate the reference, but everybody know my background. It's like streets. It's the same thing, and you do the same thing with drugs or whatever else that you're selling. So I just put that same mentality in something positive. And people said, well, you wasn't nervous like when I eventually quit my job well, I wasn't nervous if I was moving drugs from here to here, or I wasn't nervous if I'm carrying pistols. So why would I be nervous about doing something legal? You know what I'm saying? And so I had one of the guys that gave me an opportunity. He owned like 10 gas stations and stuff, an
mm.
Arab guy. And uh, he let me put my books in his store. And I put them in there, and I used to get the little, the stands that they used to put cards in,
Right.
greeting cards. So I put the books in there, and it's like 48 pockets. And I used to put the books in there, and when I do that, I put them in different spots, beauty salons, hair, nail salons, and stuff like that. And then I sell them. Then people start reading them. So then I bought me a shrink wrap, and I shrink wrapped the book. So,
Mm.
and I told the owners, if it's open, it's sold. So when I come back, as long as it's shrink, we good. If it's open, then you got to pay me for it. So that makes them watch it, you know what I'm saying? And make
Mm.
sure don't nobody else. Because how the beauty salon, it wouldn't be in there 4 or 5 hours. They could read a whole book and don't pay for it. So now I shrink wrap it. So I did that. And then I had a young lady that came into the gas station one time. She's like, yeah, my husband do the same thing. Y'all should meet this and this. Kip Johnson, my partner. And so me and him met,
Wow.
and because he was selling, he was doing the book stands and stuff like. Me and him met, and we never looked back. So
Could you imagine if you were still in the streets and it was like, oh, I know another guy who's still, then you meet and kill each other? This is how it should be.
well, even in the streets though, that's how a lot of people connect with a lot of people. You get people that even in the illegal part of it. Man, my uncle, some of the biggest dope dealers, they don't have talent. They dating the sister of the other big guy. you know, and then when you give it to like drugs is that was another insult because drugs is the least skillful thing to ever sell. Because you don't have to market it, you don't have to entice people to buy it. You don't even got to go look out for people. They
Right.
going to look for you. And then a lot of time when people say, "Oh, I remember those hustling days," and what's happening now? Because you wasn't a real hustler. You see, a real hustler could sell whatever. You was selling something that was already selling itself.
Mm.
Now it's not popular, or now it's so many restrictions or insecurities about it. You can't do that. A real hustler can sell books. A real hustler can sell. I tell people all the time, quit looking for the next best thing. It's people that's making $1 million selling this right here.
Right.
This a pencil. They making me. I don't have to look for the next best thing because
Mm.
somebody want it. They is out there. So a real hustler sell whatever. But what it was those guys. It wasn't real hustlers. They just was people that had opportunities. They was connected. I don't want to name names, but you got people, even people that people glorify. Man, they didn't have. That's why they sitting on talk shows now, broke and talking about what they did 100 years and now, and ain't even doing nothing now
Right.
because you the government or whoever came in and said, "Oh, we want to give you this." Man, you give anybody, you give a little kid 100 pounds, he's gonna make it work.
Hmm.
Here, just stand right here. They're gonna give you some money, and you giving them product. There's no
Right.
skill in that.
Right.
Now here they is, older than me, on talk shows and stuff like that. And, oh, I was the biggest. Well, what are you doing now?
Mm.
You look like you're barely hanging on. Go find something to do.
Yes.
So
Yes.
no, there's no skill in that. And that's the bad part about it. And we glorify people, and there's no skill in that. But
Right.
no, so we just, you meet somebody and he was doing the same thing and we put it together and we never looked back. And, I got my CDLs, I got my real estate license.
Mm.
I was on garbage trucks. I worked at restaurants. Like I said, I worked at gas stations. I used to came home. I had uh, um, an older son. I paid child support. I got a daughter. I paid child support. Got a family now, and I used to come home with $2 checks,
Mm.
literally. You know, but you just got to keep on pushing and keep on making it happen. And some people could have used that as an excuse to turn back or uh, do wrong, but
Right.
no, I just kept on pushing.
Mm.
And I'm not gonna let nothing get in. And like I said, if I could tell somebody I want to be a gangster at 6, 7 years old, and even if I'm not a gangster in their eyes, but I was a gangster in the United States eyes, so that means I succeeded. Like even my own peers, you wasn't nothing. Okay, that's cool. But United States government thought I was some. So I succeeded in that. So now I feel that there's nothing I can't do. Period.
Tell them. I mean, the government even gave you a housing scholarship for a while, connected
Yeah, yeah.
as a gangster. So,
I tell my daughter that I have 2 daughters that graduate college and high school at the same time.
mm.
There's a program called ECA program where you go to high school and you go to college at the same time.
Yeah,
One
the
daughter
early
just did it.
college.
I don't know how to say it. Early college. So I ain't gonna say it because you're gonna laugh at. But the cum laude or whatever.
Oh yeah.
My second oldest daughter, she graduated from Eastern. That my youngest daughter that's doing that right now, she graduate next year, and she put in for Michigan, Michigan State, Eastern, and she's asking for the funds and the scholarship. And I told her, I would joke about it, I said, "Y'all got me a full ride when I went to college."
Carlos, we'll get you out of here on this one. There's a great painting in your business. It shows you watching as two of your daughters play chess when they were little girls. How do you get into chess? I love chess. I think it's a
Okay.
great game, and this idea of trying to plan moves ahead and being able to the moves you make manipulate the moves that someone else is able to make. It just fascinates me. How'd you get into chess, and what can a young mind learn from playing it?
Okay, first off, so I don't forget this, since you're a chess player, you gotta go to chess.com and send me a friend request so we can play.
Okay. All right.
It's an online chess game. It's chess.com. Let me see if I can find my username. So, and that picture, while I'm looking for that picture was one of the pictures that the current vice president, she liked that because she said her uncle used to teach her and her cousin or her and her sister
Mm.
how to play chess. So that was I kind of like the fact that she mentioned that. Chess, I got in chess when I was younger. Like I said, I just like mind games. I always like mind exercise. And I had an uncle that used to teach me how to play until I started beating him. And now he don't want to play me no more. um, and I think like any other muscle that you exercise, you have to exercise your mind. I noticed like when my grandmothers and grandparents was getting older, the doctors used to give them tell them get a phone, and they used to play games on it, and it keeps them
Right.
sharp and it keeps them conscious. So it really does work. And so I always like that part of and then it helps you to problem solve. And it is not even so much the skill of knowing where to move or when to move. It's not even so much your own personal skills. It's to be able to detect
Mm.
the next person's move.
Yeah.
And the person that can detect those moves, the more steps ahead, 9 out of 10 is going to be the one that wins. So
Right.
it's not how good you play or how good you move. It's like, like in football, you put people in the right positions and you block this person, you stop. Some people think chess is like that. They think it's blocking someone or being on an offense. And, if I move first or if I move last or if I build this wall,
Mm-hmm.
that's not what chess is. That's why I don't like speed chess. Chess is literally watching the board and seeing where a person is going to move. And not just that current move,
Right.
but how many moves you can see ahead. It's
Mm-hmm.
like looking at the weather and say, okay, I think I need to go in the house and go get me an umbrella. That's what chess is. And so that's where it helps a young mind, because when you think about streets, like you said, tying into what you said earlier, the person going to the dollar store, they robbed the place for $30. So that's they don't have the sight to see into the future that's
Mm-hmm.
saying any job you get can give you $30.
Right.
If you get caught, you're going to prison. So you don't look that far ahead. So that's all it is. It's not even a crime thing, an unintelligent thing. It's that you're not looking far ahead. What helped me to stay on the streets is looking far ahead, saying, yeah, I could sell drugs, but if I get caught, I'm going to prison.
Right.
9 out of 10, I'm going to prison. I'm gonna kill somebody gonna kill me. If I'm out here shooting up parties and stuff like, what if I shoot up and one of my sisters in the party, I hit somebody innocent. So it's just that the person that has destruction is the person that doesn't look too far into the future. They just thinking
Mm.
about right now. So
Right.
what that helps you, and they see a movement, and people say, "Well, why are you so positive, and why you feel like you could solve every?" Because if I walk from here to you, I get there. I won't get there tomorrow. Might not get there today, but I'll get there. So I know I can get there. You see what I'm saying? But some people say you won't get. No, if you walking, you'll get there. You might be tired, you might be hungry, but you'll get there. You just got to keep trying. That's why even politicians, the one thing they leave you is hope. You know what I'm saying? Once they take away the hope, they know the
Right.
world is gone. So they'll leave you hope. That's the key. You have to keep on knowing that, like even with this, we logged on here and it worked. We didn't have to switch nothing. We didn't have to approve nothing. We didn't have to take nothing off. We didn't have to do nothing off. So somewhere in between there and there, something happened. But when we start turning stuff off, turning stuff on, doing stuff that we didn't do the first time, that's when we mess up.
Right.
You know, unplugging stuff, tearing up, shaking it, and all. Then I started, no, just do what you did the first time. That's
Doing too
how life
much.
is. That's
Yes.
right. And then if that don't work, then there's other avenues. So I grabbed my laptop because we didn't have time to play with it. You know what I'm saying? So, but I would have played with it till I figured it out. So that's what chess is. Chess gives you the common sense. The average person, like I said, common sense ain't common. And
No.
people say, well, you think you smarter than me because you, no. If I read on a subject and you don't read on a subject, I am smarter than you. Not in an arrogant way, not in a what I am. And I have to move accordingly. Same thing with chess. When you sit there and a person move, before you even touch a piece, I'm gonna know where you're gonna move. Are you a person that read the book? You read the chess books? Are you a person? See, I don't even like the books. That's funny. I'm a reader. I sell books, but I don't like chess books because
Really?
chess books because it points you into the four corners. The only way that book works if someone does the moves that's in that book. So if
Right.
you do the offense, only way it works if they use the same defense that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't use that, then the book is no good. That's why we have so much, and I hate to get on the subject, but when I hate to jump, but that's how my mom. That's like police brutality and a lot of stuff. The reason why we have a lot of police brutality and a lot of stuff like that, it's not even so much a brutality. It's because they teach you a certain way of doing something. As long as that person respond that way, then you can handle it. Once they don't respond that same way, then you don't know what to do. So when you go to the car and you say, get out the car, you be aggressive, they teach you if you aggressive, you this and that, they're gonna respond this way.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna get out. They're gonna be scared. They're gonna do, but the moment they say, man, I don't care what you now you don't know what to do. Because
Right.
that wasn't in the book. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Chess the same way. I move this, I do a king gambit, queen gambit, whatever. You don't move a certain way, I don't know what to do. Because it's not even teaching me like AI, it's not even teaching me how to think. It's telling
Right.
me when you move
Right.
A1, this guy move A2.
Right. If
When
they
you
do
move
A, you
A3,
do B.
that's
Where
right.
you think about what to do if they do A.
That's right. But there get some people that's unorthodox. And so then when they unorthodox, then that's why people, oh, the left hand, because he's a left hand fighter. It wasn't because he was better, it's just everybody trained you how to fight a right handed person.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So when you start switching it up, and that's why I don't like about the books, because I have to move a certain way, you have to move a certain way, and then we play that game. But when you soon as you like I say, everybody got a plan until you get hit. That's the
Mm.
purpose. Why is that? How everybody got a plan until you get hit when you playing a hitman game?
Right.
You should have that plan. That's part of your plan. But it's
Right.
not part of your plan. You know what I'm saying? Because you saying I'm gonna hit him and he gonna fall down. He don't fall. Now you don't know what to do. That's why I don't like the book. So this goes back to what I was saying. For a child, especially a child comes up in poverty, a child that comes up um, poor, and a child come up with no parents and things like that. When they telling you how to do something, they telling you based upon the level of if the playing fields is fair. So now the playing fields is not fair. So what do I do? You know what I'm saying? Now you be able to improvise and add a little, take a lot. Because some people don't even teach you that. You know, they don't even teach you what, just take a little bit off of it or put a
Right.
little bit on there. You know, no, but the book don't say that. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So it helps you to teach independently. Kids do not learn in hell, they don't even educate you. They train you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You go to
Right.
school, it's a training. You know, they it's like a dog. The dog not doing it because it's hungry. Dog doing it because you train it to do that. The
Mm-hmm.
dog not coming in because they like you. The dog coming because it train it. The average person don't know their ABC. And you say, well, what do you mean? No, they know the ABC song. That's why they got to sing it.
Right.
You ask a person what your ABCs is, what they gonna do? They gonna sing the song. So that's just
Right.
like me singing some Luther or something. I don't know ABC. I just know a house is not a home.
Right.
Because if I knew it, then I could tell you. If I ask you right now, what's the 10th letter in the ABC? You can't tell me.
Exactly. Or like at a DUI stop. I've heard allegedly, they'll say like, oh, the letters between like J and Q. And what's everyone gonna
Right,
say in
right.
that situation? I couldn't do that if I was sober. Whoops.
My point. That's
Whoop.
right. And so you failed a test, you know what I'm saying? But you never knew it anyway. So they
Right.
don't educate you. So you want to get to the point where you have independent thinking. You want to get to the point where you can when scenarios change, even when you push that piece and I thought you was gonna push the other piece, then I have to adapt to it. I have to adjust to it. Some of the greatest chess players, they 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 not beating you based upon their skill level that is my skill against your skill. They beating you because you only gonna play a certain way. And you're gonna play that same way every time. And if you don't
100%
beat it, you
John
don't.
Suits talked about play the man, not the situation.
That's
Roy
right.
Cohn, Donald
That's
Trump's
right.
mentor in The Apprentice, he talked about we're a country of men. So you have to play the person. It's not a strategy, it's a person you're playing who is likely to do this or that. Like that person has a sensibility. So I'm sure you know, okay, if that's a book guy, I should do this thing because I know what the book says too.
Right. I know what the book say. So I'm gonna play like Dan Campbell, and I probably get booed for this, but he he's a more it's his unpredictability, but not so much his coaching skill.
Right.
So if a person goes for because they give you four, see, we put in our head that we're going to get three and then kick it. But
Right.
they give you four. The fourth one is just like the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But we're trained to say the fourth one is for kick. Well, if that was the case, then they would make it mandatory that you got to kick it every time.
There was a team on the Friday Night Lights movie that always went for it on fourth down, and they were like the most feared team because they were going to use like they were not playing by the same rules as you. You had to stop them to stop them.
That's right. And then what happens with the fourth time? The other team's fourth down man man lineup and defense of it, the fourth down. See, they never get to play. The
Mm-hmm.
people that only play three and be out the fourth one, they never get to rest. So it's
Right.
not to it go to show you. It almost scared me that he might not even be the coach long because they got him where he didn't build the confidence, the hope, and built the confidence and all that stuff. But if you look at his actual coaching, as far as not the coaching because he could coach, but if you look at his product like strategic is
Mm-hmm.
not as great as some, but he's just gonna catch you off where you like, well, man, I'm gonna line up my fourth, my fourth down man, and now they about to go for it. I can't. But if everybody was doing that, and you put that coach against any other coach, he wouldn't look spectacular. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So he stands out because he's just doing different, and that only works until people figure that out and figure out what your difference is. That's what happened with Tyson. That's what happened with artists. Once you come with something different, then that's what happened. Michael Jordan, all of them. Now, Michael Jordan didn't hang out with the players and all that stuff. He wasn't cool. He wasn't taking pictures with you and all that stuff. He come in. We'd do this after the game, but we enemies on that court.
Right.
Then you come with some other people that come and they do something different. And they're like, oh man, it's not like, and then they win in that type of way. So yeah, I think mentally, it just sharpens your skills. It sharpens your thinking power. You're not immune to anything. Like life happens.
Mm.
You can't stop what God has planned for you, but at least it helps you give a clearer picture of the whole board. You got to look at the whole board. You get people that's aggressive. They see they car thieves. They stealing all pieces, and I put it out there for you to steal it,
Right.
and then I'm coming through your back door,
Mm-hmm.
and it is like life. I know a lot of people use it, a lot of you hear a lot of in the sands in the neighborhood. I play chess, not checkers, but it's a real thing, it's a real thing about life because when I looked at my life and I looked at the board and I said, where am I headed? What is the odds of winning this game? And if I'm winning it, where do I have to put my pieces to win? This is what I came up with. And so people don't do that. You put it on the table and you say, how can I win? And where would this lead me? The answers are always the same. That's why our parents seem to be more intelligent. It wasn't because they was more intelligent because they read more. They were more intelligent because they passed that road. If you're walking from A to B and you see a hole between A and B, you know the road. There's a hole there, and so that's what they used to always tell you. There's a hole there. No, it's not. Well, we didn't travel that road. They traveled. So how you know there's a hole there? Because I jumped over that hole or I fell in that hole.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made them more intelligent because I traveled and there's a hole there. And when you look at life, you see the ups, you see the downs, you see the rewards, and you see the losses. And no matter how you play it, the outcomes are pretty much the same. You know what
Carlos,
I'm saying?
I want to thank you so much. This was
No,
great.
I know I run my mouth. You had to edit it, and then
This is just such a great conversation because we usually talk about politics, and it was nice. It is nice to be talking about life.
Yes,
because there's a lot more to life than politics. Politics is actually one of the smallest parts of life. These things and chess and the mentalities and raising kids and decision making, literacy. This is the stuff that's fascinating. This is the stuff that makes a life viable.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing your wisdom, and we will absolutely look to have you back, Carlos.
Thank you. Anytime. I'll be looking for that request on chess. So
all right. I'll see you on there. And hey, Carlos, be blessed and Merry Christmas.
You as well. Happy holidays to you both and everybody that's out there looking. And you know what I'm saying? Protect the queen.